Hi and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about how to create a table in Microsoft Excel. If you find this useful, please click on the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to us. And with all that said, let's jump on over to Microsoft Excel. Okay, so in this example here, I have a data set full of salesperson by region, by month, and then the sales that they've achieved. Now, you might be wanting to start a table from scratch, and in which case the same principles apply, and I will show you both. I will show you how to convert a data set as well as starting a new table as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk about the two different ways that you can convert your existing data set into a table. And then I'm going to show you how to create a table from scratch. So in order to convert this particular data set into a table, there's a couple of things that we must have first. One, we must have headers across all of the columns that include data. So if I had data in column E here, it's very important that I have a header in that particular column. Otherwise, you'll have a table here with just basically a standard column 1 reference. And from best practices, always make sure that your columns have the correct headers that actually are meaningful so that you can query your tables later on various other methods. Okay, so make sure all your tables have headers. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing will be there's two different ways to actually convert it. The first one, on the Home tab of the ribbon, there's something called Format as a Table. Now, that's a little misleading. You'd think it's only going to put some formatting on your data set that makes it look like a table, but actually what it's doing is it's converting it into an Excel table for you, as well as applying formatting of that particular table. Now, that's your first way. The next way is to actually click on Insert and then click on Table. Both of those do the same thing. They both convert your data set into a table. I personally prefer to use the Format as a Table because I can format the converted table how I would like it to look, all within one click rather than having to format it after I've converted it. So I usually just go on Format as Table. Now, in order to convert it, just have to click inside your data set. You do not have to select the columns or the range. They all work, of course, so I can just click directly into the data set, click on Format as Table, and choose the format that I would like, and then it will convert it. Or I can click in the very first column header, Control Shift right, Control Shift down, and select all of the data within my range. Or I can select the columns that have the data in there and also format it as a table. All three of those methods for selecting your data set will allow Excel to understand what you're trying to do. So I'm just going to select directly into the data set. It doesn't really matter where. I'm just going to click there. I'm going to then come over to the Format as Table, and then I'm going to select a format style that suits my personal preference, and you can choose any of these. It really is down to your own personal preference. I tend to lean more on grey and black, something like this for example, but it's entirely up to you. Once you've done that, you end up with this little dialog box here. And this tells you where is the data for your table. And now it's automatically selected, so that's Excel has automatically selected my entire range, knowing that I was inside a data set. So it's kind of figured out what that range looks like, and then just put the data locations and the range into that particular box there. Next, and the reason that I said it was important that you include headers, is you have the ability to toggle on and off whether you have headers or not. So I'm going to click on my table has headers, but if you don't have headers and you've left that blank for whatever reason, then obviously that will be deselected, and Excel will put in column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 as your headers and so forth, right? So I always find it's best practice just to make sure they've got headers and that you tick this box. With that done, just click OK, and now we have our table here. All pre-selected, all formatted up exactly as we had selected from our style, and it is now a table. So with that said, we can now see with this table selected up in the top left hand corner of our table design tab the name of the table. So the second thing that you're going to want to do is actually change the name so that it's something meaningful. I'm going to call this sales table and just press return. Now I have a table here with a table name called sales data, and that will basically now allow me to use other Excel functions to query that specific table name and to pull back the results that I'm looking for. It just kind of keeps things nice and slick and smooth. Okay, and that's how you'd go ahead and convert a table. You obviously have a bunch of other options I'm not going to go into for the purpose of this particular example or tutorial. I'm just going to show you how to actually make the tables, and then I'll probably create some other videos later on that show some of the details of the things that you can use Excel to do and how to interact with your tables. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how you would create a table from scratch. So again, this you would actually come over to the Insert tab and click on Table. Now here it's only selected the one cell. Excel has not detected that I'm inside a range, so it doesn't know where I would like to create my table. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to say I want these 4 columns to be the headers of my table, and that they conclude they're going to include headers. I'm going to click OK, and this is what I was saying before, where it's automatically just put the default theme in, and I'd have to then go and change it to something I would like, right? And because I didn't have headers, it's given me column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. And I'm going to have to go ahead and actually enter some other names into these particular headers. So I'm going to say salesperson. I'm going to say region and month, and then our sales. Okay, so now I have the same structure, but I've created this from no data set. Now directly underneath here, I can start inputting my data. So if I had a salesperson called Chris, and I can just press tab to move across to the next one. So England here for the month of January, and 85 were the sales. And when I get to the end, I just press return, and now I've got a record in my table. And obviously the other thing to bear in mind here is I should have given this a name as well. So I can just go sales underscore table underscore 2. Now, in order to continue adding data into my new table, all I need to do is just go to the next available cell underneath it, underneath my table. Now we know that it is outside of our table, and we can tell that because this contextual tab at the top of the ribbon disappears when I'm outside of the table. Okay, so I know it's not selected. So we know this cell is not included in my table currently. But Excel is smart enough to know that the second I start typing here, that the data that I'm putting in should be a part of our table, and it will expand the range of our table to include that data. Okay, so I'm going to click and type Chris, hit tab, and now you'll notice that it has highlighted a new border around there, and I'm back inside my table. Okay, I'm going to say England, I'm going to say Feb, and then the sales were 500. Now just press return. Now I'm outside my table again, and this one is inside my table. And you can continue to add records in this manner, and it will continue to add those into your new table as you go down your list. And the same thing goes if you were to paste data in as well, which I'll show you that in a moment. So if I assume I would like to copy in the rest of Chris's records here, come to this particular section, I'm just going to right click and paste these as values, and straight away now Excel knows that I want all of those inside my new table. Okay, and that's how you'd create a new table and add data into that table manually, obviously, and you can copy and paste data in as you see fit as well. Hopefully you guys have found this video tutorial useful. I know I didn't go into a lot of details of what you can do with the tables themselves. I just wanted to kind of put out there that Excel makes it very easy to convert your current data sets into tables, and how to create a table manually and then import data afterwards. Both options are very usable and very easy to do. And if you do subscribe to the channel, watch out for some of the other video tutorials that I'll be doing, showing you how you can actually interact with the data once it's in a table, in some of the new functions that Excel has that is more designed to actually extract information out of tables than it is to just out of like a plain data set. And those particular functions work very similar to SQL in that kind of world of things. So you almost create these tables in structures that work like a database, and you can start to create relationships and things like that between your tables. So as I said before, if you found this useful, please do click on the like button, hit subscribe, watch out for those video tutorials as they're released, and I will catch you guys in the next video.